Hi, I was looking on YouTube trying to find videos of people's experiences of a skull to C2 fusion, just what the surgery was like in recovery, and I really found just like one or two. And when you go through something, it's cool to hear other people's experience and see if what you're experiencing is kind of what they've experienced. And like I said, I really had a hard time finding anything. So I just decided that, hey, I was going to just record my experience and maybe it will encourage or help someone else who's going through it. So, like I said, I could only find on YouTube videos that had a cervical fusion anterior, which is from the front, and mine is posterior, it's in the back. And so I just want to share my experience. I am not a professional in any way. I did make this video yesterday, but I realized I forgot a bunch of stuff. So this is my take two, and super not professional here. So just please bear with me. But so like I said, this is just my experience. No way is this medical advice, medical diagnosis, promotion of anything. I just want to share my experience to hope, I don't know, hopefully it will help others out there. So my situation is that I have Chiari malformation, and I had a decompression surgery for it about 3.5 years ago. And then with that surgery, I did have my cerebellum tonsils cauterized and a dura patch put in. And unfortunately, I did have a CSF leak in my dura patch. So 3 months after my very first surgery, I had to have a second surgery to have that leak in my dura patch fixed. And I really just never got better. And in fact, I just kept declining, and I really didn't know what was going on. I kind of just assumed it was Chiari, and because I had my head cut open twice, I was experiencing a lot of neck pain. I was always holding my neck right at like the base of my skull. My neck always hurt. My head felt like it was really heavy. I would always sit in a chair with a high back or up against the wall, like a chair up against the wall, or in the couch with lots of pillows behind my head to support my head. Always had ice on my head and my neck. And then I still had other symptoms of pressure in my head all the time. I would move, just these big sloshes of just pressure. I could just feel it in my head. Headaches. I had swallowing problems. Things getting stuck in my throat. I would always have to drink a liquid and swallow multiple times with liquid after eating bites of food. Little pills like ibuprofen would get stuck. I just kind of call it my eyes motion weirdness stuff. Looking at my phone too fast, things moving too fast on the TV screen. If I was moving and other things are moving around me, like people in an aisle at a grocery store, or being in a car and looking at other cars moving, I would just be super off balance. I would feel just so, ugh. And so I found, I think every one of us tries to do this when we have things wrong. We try to figure out what's going on and how to stop it, how to help our symptoms. And so through just learning, teaching myself, I came upon a nonprofit group called Bobby Jones CSF, and they have tons of video lectures on there with neurosurgeons and other professionals. And then also there's a online support group that I've been part of. I joined that monthly, probably for the last couple of years. And so through these video lectures and through talking to other people who have similar symptoms and problems that I do, it was really, I really knew that something serious was really being missed in me. And I learned that there's critical imaging that I had not had done yet that I needed to have done. So one of the things was a rotational CT scan, which you just lay in the bed and you rotate your head 90 degrees each way, and it checks for instability. And the other thing is an upright MRI. And this upright MRI is so important. And the thing is that most of the time, you know, MRIs are you're supine, you're laying down, but we don't live life laying down. We live life upright. And it's so important to see what things look like when you have the weight of gravity on you and how you are when you're upright. So I had this upright MRI done, and then there's 3 really important measurements that your neurosurgeon needs to measure to check for cranial cervical instability. And that is the Grab-Oaks measurement, the clivial axial angle, and the Harris measurement. And so those are measuring different bones in your skull and your cervical spine, giving you angles, and you know, they can then diagnose if your degrees of angles of these bones are off, or if they're okay, to either give you a diagnosis of cranial cervical instability or not. So I live in the Midwest. I found a neurosurgeon on the East Coast who really specializes in cranial cervical instability, Chiari, EDS, all these things. And so I did send my imaging to him, and I went out there. He measured himself, these 3 measurements, looked at my MRI, and then said that my Chiari decompression was done too small. And so also with these 3 measurements that gave me the diagnosis of cranial cervical instability. So my skull was sliding and sinking on my cervical spine. So kind of like my head was this big, heavy pumpkin sinking down on a spike, which was causing compression on the brainstem in the front. My Chiari is causing compression on the brainstem in the back. I didn't have adequate CSF flow in the front or the back, so my head was just like this huge pressure cooker. So I was really in serious condition here with the compression on my brainstem and then all my other symptoms. So I did decide to go ahead and have surgery. So as I'm making this video, I am 5 weeks post-op, a Skull-C2 stabilization, fusion, and a Chiari redo. And I just want to talk a little bit about how I felt when I woke up from surgery, how things are for me now. And so when I woke up from surgery, I really felt, I felt like I was suffocating. My neck felt, and I kept telling people, like, my neck feels like it is a solid piece of cement, like a solid cement block. And I didn't realize that it's just because it was all muscle. It's just so tight. Your muscles are so tight that is why I felt like there was no slack in my throat, and gave me the feeling like I was suffocating, even though that I was not. It really is super uncomfortable. And so let's see. Okay, so I did wake up from surgery. I had a bandage on the back of my head over my incision, and that stayed on there when I was in the hospital. I had surgery on a Tuesday. I was discharged on a Thursday. Before I was discharged, they put a new bandage over my incision, and then I had to put, my mom or my husband, they put a new bandage on every single day. And it was just a couple inches wide and about, I don't know, 6 inches in length, adhesive all the way around, kind of like a gauze. And I really hated it. It was so bad. I already was so tight and stiff. and then adding that on top of it, and I'm sensitive to adhesives, and so it really was just a super annoying. I hated having that on there. As you can see, I don't have a collar on. I never had a collar. My neurosurgeon does not have us wear collars. I did have stitches, like I said. I could not get the stitches wet. I couldn't get the bandage wet. And so I just took baths, and then I had help getting, like, I did wash my hair, but it was just the sides of my hair. Like, I couldn't get water on the top that would run down and get that bandage or my stitches wet. So I did not get to wash my hair fully until I had the stitches taken out. My restrictions were no driving for a month, no lifting over 10 pounds, no bending at the waist, and then again, keeping the stitches and incision dry until the stitches came out. So I don't know, I can't remember if I said this or not. So I live in the Midwest, and I traveled to the East Coast, and so we stayed at a hotel because my post-op appointment was 10 days after surgery. So in that hotel, as far as I just talk about like sleeping and stuff, I did not have all the stuff that I have at home. I couldn't pack all that. So like I did not have a wedged pillow with me, all this other stuff that I have at home, but it really is helpful, at least for me, to have that wedged pillow because in the hospital, you know, you're at incline in the bed. The day after my surgery, I had to have a CT scan, and laying flat on that bed to have that scan done, I cried the whole time. It hurts so bad to lay backwards flat, and honestly, I have not tried to lay flat on my back since. And so like I said, I sleep on my side with something here in my neck hole. So at the hotel, I just slept with a bunch of pillows on the bed, just kind of at an angle, and it was fine. I mean, it was kind of annoying every time you move that those pillows would move, but it was fine. And I did get an Amazon, through Amazon, I ordered like a wedge pillow, so when I got home, I had that. So at 5 weeks post-op, I'm still sleeping on that wedged pillow. And then I have a pillow. I used this before surgery. I found out about this mom who made these pillows for her child who had Chiari. It's called the zipper head pillow. And instead of it being like one piece of foam, it's like a bazillion little tiny pieces of foam. And so you're really able to mold and shape it to get it right how you want it. And so I use that pillow on top of my wedged pillow. And as far as sleeping goes, it's still like the worst task, the worst part of my day, just because I am uncomfortable. Sleeping at that angle puts more pressure on my hips, so my hips hurt. I do switch between the recliner and my bed, and wherever I am, I just have, I don't know, little squishmallow pillows or blankets or something that I shove in my neck hole to make sure that I'm staying straight and having good posture. But it really is the most, I don't know, uncomfortable. I don't know. It's just uncomfortable for me to sleep. So it's probably, like I said, my worst thing that I do. Let's see here. Okay, so walking. Walking is a huge thing. My neurosurgeon said walking makes a huge difference in your recovery. If you just sit all day long and you don't get up, your recovery is going to be worse and harder. So he had me up walking about 4 hours after surgery, and I walked every day in the hospital. And then, like I said, we had to stay at a hotel, and I walked every day in the hotel, up and down the halls, and then, you know, maybe down the stairs, and then maybe to the lobby. Every day I just tried to keep adding a little bit to it, but still not overdoing it. And so being at home now, I've made myself go outside every single day. One, to get a change of scenery from the inside of my house, and 2, just to keep walking. And so I do not go out there and walk until my husband gets home at night, just so that he can make sure I'm safe and I'm okay out there, because I do really feel vulnerable. I can't look down or to the side, so if like a dog came running at me or something, I don't know, I just feel safer knowing that like he's out there watching out for me. I live on the top of a hill, so I'm not trying to walk down the hill or up the hill. I'm not trying to like get a crazy workout. I just want to be walking. So I really just kind of walk in a circle up and down my street. And I do, at 5 weeks post surgery, I'm out there for probably an hour to an hour and a half walking. But it's not constant. I walk, I get a sip of water, I say hi to the neighbor, talk to my husband for a minute, walk. So I'm definitely pacing myself, but that's about the length of time that I'm out there for. So eating has been interesting. Because I can't look down, I hold my plate up like here, like really high, so I can see what's on it, because if I set it on a table, I can't look down to see. So I hold my food up really high, my plate up high, and then I take, like, you don't even know, I didn't even think about it until you can't do it, but when you take a bite of food, your head normally moves forward, to take the bite, and I can't. And so it's just really awkward taking bites of food. And because of the level where I'm fused, it's skull to C2, and C2 ends right about here where your jaw ends. And so it's hard to open my mouth wide. So like taking bites of things like of thick food, like maybe like a cheeseburger, or like, I don't know what else is like a donut, like it's almost, I can't open my mouth, and I take like little bird bites of things so I can eat it. So it's just been interesting eating that way. Drinking, again, because I can't move my head right here, I can't tip it back to drink out of a cup or a water bottle at a certain point. So I bought a bunch of straws off Amazon. I use my Awala water bottle. So again, it's fine. It's just something different that I always have to have a straw at a certain point, no matter what I'm drinking. Brushing my teeth, I can't, again, tip my head forward, so I can't like spit out my toothpaste. So I just get a cup and I spit in the cup, and then I fill the cup up with water and rinse my mouth and spit in a cup. When I write, like I can't bend my head down to write, so I write whatever I'm writing on, I put it on the wall to write on, or I have a clipboard so I can hold it up higher at eye level to write on. Like using my phone, I can't look down and look at my phone, I have to hold my phone, I'm holding my phone up here so I can look at it. Okay, so my movements, I'll see if I can show you this as I'm holding my phone, but like I can move these lower levels. They are not fused. I'm not supposed to move them. I'm not supposed to try to move them because of having craniocervical instability and connective tissue stuff. We're trying not to wear stuff out because we're trying to avoid having to get fused at a lower level, because I already have some degeneration in my lower levels. So we're just keeping perfect posture, and I really do just churn at my shoulders, but like when I move, this is pretty much how I'm moving. And it's probably not the same as if you see me in person because I'm holding this phone. But let's see what else I have on this piece of paper here. Physical therapy. I could start at 1 month. Yesterday, 5 weeks post-op, I started physical therapy for the first time, but it's just isometric stuff. No chin tucks, no range of motion, no manipulation. My neurosurgeon said absolutely none of that. Let's see. So at 5 weeks, this is what I can do. At 5 weeks, I can take a shower by myself. I can wash my hair. I can cook light food. Like, again, I can't look down, so it is a little bit of a challenge, but I can cook like light stuff, like I can make eggs and just simple things like that. Maybe a sandwich. And I can do dishes if it's not like big heavy pans, you know, maybe just some plates and silverware and cups like that, but I can do that. I do the laundry. I can change stuff from the washer to dryer. I have like 13 steps to my basement where my laundry is. And so I just take multiple trips so that I'm not carrying a bunch of stuff up and that I can always be holding on to the railing as well. Okay, so also I do go out. I do go to the store. Like when my husband goes to the grocery store for us, I do ride along with him to get out of the house. Again, a different scenery. Like I'm not pushing the cart with all the, you know, groceries and food in it that could be heavy. I'm just walking. Primarily, that's why I go, just to get out and just to walk. So, like I carry some very light things back into the house with groceries, but not the heavy stuff. But I think it's really good to be out and just to go somewhere. Being in the car at 5 weeks post-op, you know, it's okay. It's not my favorite. Bumps still hurt, but I can do it. And I have not tried to drive yet, even though that restriction is gone at a month. There is no way at all that I am even filling up to even trying to drive or even feel like I'd be able to drive at this point at 5 weeks. Let me see what I got here. What else I got? So, okay, so as far as symptoms go that I had pre-surgery, I feel like everything has gone. My motion stuff, my eye stuff, my balance stuff, the pressure in my head is gone. I did have a little bit of pressure and whooshing in my ears after surgery, but I think it's just because everything was adjusting. Like I went from having almost no flow of spinal fluid to having flow, and I think my brain just really was adjusting. But since that first couple of days after surgery, I did not have I haven't had a headache, I haven't had pressure in my head. And one thing I did just think about that I forgot to talk about after surgery, that I had this weird sensation in my head, just that like I was dropping, like it's kind of like if you're on a roller coaster and you're dropping down. I don't really know what that was, but it lasted a few days, and it was just the weirdest sensation in my head that I have. But I really haven't had that past, I don't know, maybe a week after surgery. But I kind of, again, just think it's just my brain adjusting to spinal fluid flow again, maybe. Let's see here. Okay, so I talked about like my eye, my balance, my motion stuff's gone, the pressure's gone, my swallowing stuff's gone, like nothing's getting stuck in there anymore. So, you know, at 5 weeks post-op, like I am super hopeful that I'm gonna have these symptoms stay away and that I'm gonna just continue to heal and that I'm gonna be really good off, I think. You know, this surgery, like I'm not gonna lie, it is tough. It's a beast of a surgery. And the biggest things that I've dealt with is just my neck and my throat. are so tight, but again, it's just all muscle stuff. And so that really is the source of most of my pain and discomfort. The pain comes from the tightness. And then the second thing is really the back of my head. I have so much sensitivity on the back of my head. And I don't know if it's just because of this surgery. I'm not sure if it's because my neurosurgeon cut my roots on both sides, my nerve roots at C2 on both sides. He was really concerned that I was going to have or develop occipital neuralgia because of the size of the nerves and how they laid at. So he just wanted to avoid that. So they're cut on both sides. So I don't really know if this is like nerve stuff, surgery stuff. But when I woke up from surgery, the entire back of my head was numb. Like it just felt like I had a metal plate in the back of my head. And so at 5 weeks post-op, it still does feel like that, but it's gone down a little bit in intensity. But I have always had more pain on the left side of my neck and the left side of my head. And I still, like I said, I have a lot of sensitivity on the back of my head. So like when I wash my hair, it hurts because I'm touching and rubbing my scalp. My hair on my head just hurts some days. Like if I'm just sitting in my recliner and my head's just touching the back of my chair, it hurts sometimes. And again, I don't really know where this is coming from, but like that gives me a lot of pain and discomfort. So really it's just the back of my head sensitivity and then the tightness in my neck and throat at 5 weeks that are really giving me the most trouble and the most discomfort and pain. So I've been on, so just to talk about medicine, I know everybody's probably different. This is just my experience, so I just want to share it. In the hospital, I had anti-inflammatory medicine, a narcotic pain medicine, and muscle relaxers. So I came home with those 3 things, and still at 5 weeks post-op, let's just talk about the muscle relaxer. I tried to see if I could wean off of that, and it was the worst thing that I could do. I immediately felt like I was turning into a solid piece of cement again, my neck and my throat. And so, again, I know it's just muscle stuff, and I know now I am not going to be able to wean off of that for a really long time. Perhaps may stay on it for the rest of my life, which is totally fine by me because I am not trying to experience that. Maybe we'll go down in dose, but I really think, talking with the doctors and everything, that's probably going to be something that's part of my life for a really long time. But so as long as I keep on that muscle relaxer, still at 5 weeks post-op, it's every 6 hours I'm taking that muscle relaxer. The anti-inflammatory medicine I still do take, but I'm trying to wean off of that. Right now I'm between 5 to 6 hours in between taking that. The narcotic pain medicine, I still do need that. And I am going about, 12 to 16 hours in between taking it. But I am down to at every 12 to 16 hours, I'm only taking half of that pill now instead of needing a whole one. So I really feel like, and the only reason I ever take that narcotic pain medicine, it's just because the tightness and the stiffness gets so intense that I just I really can't stand it anymore. And so I feel like I'm just in this marathon now. I knew the surgery was going to be a long recovery. I know everybody heals differently. But I am just, every day is kind of the same, slow recovery as your body heals. And, I just want to be very realistic here with people because, so my kids are grown, I have one that doesn't live with me anymore that's in college. I have another one that is 19. So I can really just wake up when I need to wake up every day. I can do whatever I need to do for my body, whatever I feel like I can do. I do not have, young kids that I am taking care of during this time. So I work at a school, so also I am not working. I had the surgery at the beginning of June so that I would have the whole entire summer off to heal and recover. So I really, I wake up, I do what I can do for myself during the day. I try to just kind of take it easy. And then when my husband gets home, I try to help him with dinner, dishes, clean up, whatever, and then walk outside at night. So my evenings are more active than my during the daytime. Let's see here. I'm looking at my notes to see if I missed anything. Oh, one other thing just to say, like, I do use a heating pad on the front of my throat and the back, just like when things get really intense and that tightness gets really bad. I use lidocaine patches on my shoulders because that tightness does go down into my shoulders. I use biofreeze and lotion and just really rub and massage the front of my throat a lot. And just one thing about my throat, like, it does feel weird. I don't know if it's just tightness from the surgery still, like with muscle stuff, or maybe something happened. I was intubated for, the 4 hours or whatever that the surgery took. Or maybe this is just how it is now. I was so not straight before, and now I am straight and I am stabilized. So I don't know if it's just this is how it feels, but being 5 weeks, I don't know. I feel like it's a little too early to think something might be wrong. It could still be healing. So, but I do have a lot of like just tightness in my throat still at 5 weeks. Oh, and then I do have this. I want to show you this. I have a bone growth stimulator. Let's see if I can show you what this looks like. It looks like this, and I just put it has a cushion. I just put this behind my head, and it is programmed for 30 minutes. So I just turn it on, it counts down for 30 minutes, and then it shuts itself off. And so I use that because my neurosurgeon put a allograft over my hardware in my head, and then he did take bone from the bone bank, and also he harvested oh my gosh, I can't even think of what I'm trying to say. Like bone from my hip with the syringe, and then put them together. Best way to explain it's kind of like a bone paste, and then he puts that over the hardware just to really make sure that hardware is protected and to make sure that the fusion is successful. And so he wants that to grow. So I have that bone growth stimulator that I wear every day for a half hour, and I don't know how long I have to use it for the foreseeable future until he tells me that I don't need it anymore. Let's see. I don't know. I think that's probably it. I hit on the things and talked about the things that I forgot in the first time that I made this video and posted it. I hope that, if you have this Skull-C2 fusion and stabilization surgery, that, I wish you well. It's probably why you're watching this video. And, yeah, I think that's it. Thanks.